Can you still see the screen, Josh, when I hit record?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So this one. All right. So we should be moving into just the notes we were on afterwards. So Josh, if you still have your written packet, you could technically fill out that and take a picture of it if you'd prefer. Then the document I posted is almost the same. But if you'd prefer to just keep writing on your written notes and just send me pictures of that, you can. That's fine.
Cool.
All right. Slideshow on current slide. Okay. Presenting, is it working? I feel like everything's been really slow. All right, does anyone else need a note packet? You all found it? What about Tristan? Tristan! You. No, where's your notes? You have a note packet, do you not have it? Note packet we've been doing for, I don't know, a week or so.
Oh, I was working.
Yeah, but you probably weren't here.
Yeah. But I've been doing the.
Yeah, you're doing the online one, which is fine. Now that you're back, you want to do this time. Yeah, that's it. Just like this. So you should be moving to the middle where it looks like funny squares. The squares literally match my notes. It's just the PowerPoint, and I took out some of the words, so you're going to fill in some of the blanks. It's the exact same slides. All right, so here we go. So we're going to talk a little bit how we get our blood genetics. How do you end up being the type you are based on your parent lineage? How does that kind of work out? So we're going to bring back some thoughts from biology. I know biology for some of you was several years ago. So it might take you a second to remember how to do these. We're going to do Punnett squares. If you remember those, Punnett squares, they're coming back just for blood typing those. We're not doing like all the types you all had to do, just for blood types. And for most kids, I've heard y'all didn't really do blood types in biology. You like talk about eyes and maybe hair and stuff like that, but you didn't talk about blood. So we're going to focus just on blood. So if you never on, how do you get your blood type? All right, so we're talking about just the genetics. The human ABO gene, so the gene that you get to make you the blood type you are, is on chromosome 9. You don't have to memorize that, just so you know. On your chromosome 9, that's where your blood gene is. Everyone has 2 copies of chromosome 9, so you have 2 ABO genes, one from mommy, one from daddy, just like all your other genes, okay? 1 copy is inherited from your mother and your father. There we go. Hello. We've just begun notes. All right, now you have alleles. Remember that word from bio. It's just the gene. That is the gene associated with your blood type. So there are 3 versions called alleles of this blood type gene. It's called A, B, and O. So that's our 3 possibilities. And we know now you can also get both alleles of the AB. And then there's a positive negative to those. But all we're really going to focus on is how you get the A, B, and the O. We're not going to really focus on how you get the positive, negative. It's more complicated. So we're going to keep it more simplified, just how to get the A, B, and the O. A person's blood type is determined by which allele he or she inherits from each parent. All right? You need to know these 2 vocab terms. Phenotype versus genotype. So the genetic makeup of an organism is called its genotype. So if I could lay out all your DNA and look at all your genes, that'd be your genotype. It's like that's what genes you have in your body. But if you didn't know, you have genes in your body that you don't show on the outside. So for example, my son is blonde with green eyes. There's no way for him to be blonde with green eyes unless I have that gene in my body. Blonde hair and green eyes are recessive. So the only way for him to have gotten that is for him to have gotten that gene from me and that gene from his dad. That's the only way to be blonde with green eyes. That's why most of us have brown eyes, because brown eyes are dominant. So somewhere inside my body, I have a green eye gene, or he wouldn't have. So that's what we call, like, you have genes, you have a genotype in your body. You have no idea what they are, but you may not show it. You might have diseases in there that you don't end up getting. You can pass on to your kids. You might have like a tall gene that you end up being really short, but you pass on that tall gene to your kids. Like another example, it's really easy to when you look at like your kids. My stepson is already 5'11". His dad's only 5'10". My stepson's only 12. So, like, he's just, I don't know, he's becoming a giant. Where did he get that gene? Somewhere in us, we had tall gene, but they're not showing. All right, now your phenotype is what you show. So everything that I can physically see on you is your phenotype. So I think physical appearance for phenotype. And it would also be your blood type. So when I blood type you, that's your phenotype, the type you have, A positive. But just because you're A positive doesn't mean you don't have another blood gene that you could pass on. And we're going to talk about that. So just because you have a certain blood type doesn't mean your kid will have it. There are other factors that play in that can make them have a different blood type than you, just like they could have a different physical appearance than you. We have so many genes going on in our bodies, and then so did the person that you have the baby with, and they get mixed, okay? So, complicated process, but phenotype is how you look. Genotype is what's actually inside. Their blood type is their phenotype. That's the word you get. Their blood type is their phenotype.
Okay.
Do you have enough again?
I'm doing the first. I didn't get like the first 3 slides.
Do you want me to give you a packet?
Yeah,
I have one, right here. There we go. Now, dominant versus recessive. So I just talked about that a little bit with the green-eye blonde. That's stuff you've heard before in biology when y'all talked about skin color, eye color, hair color stuff. We're going to bring that into blood. So you have dominant recessive genes. The dominant ones are usually the ones that show. Recessives, you can only get a recessive gene to show up in your phenotype, to show up in the way you look, if both your parents gave you that recessive gene. It's the only way for it to be possible. So for blood, the A allele, you're listening, you'll look pretty zoned out. The A allele is dominant. So is B. A and B are dominant genes. So if your parents, one of them was an A or B, you will probably be that. It's not always that way, but it's dominant, so probably that's what's going to be passed on. The O allele is recessive. So the only way to be type O is for both your parents to have given you an O. That doesn't mean you're type O, again, a little more complicated than that, but they have to have both given you that gene. Now for blood types, the alleles we discussed code for the blood type, the alleles you get. What they really code for is that protein that sits on your cell. So that what we just talked about in warm-up, the allele given to you by your genes is what codes your DNA to say, put A proteins on the red blood cell. Put B proteins sitting on their cell. Put Rh proteins sitting on their cell. It's what codes it. Every time you have a gene, it codes your body to do something. That enzyme creates specific antigens. That was where we talked about warm-up. It creates those specific antigens that sit on your red blood cells that make you the type you are. Okay. So we feel like we already know this word, but I'm not sure if it was actually in notes yet. So this is its actual place now in the notes. An antigen is a protein encoded from the right enzyme that sits on your cell. You get that protein coded to you from your alleles passed down from your parents. There are 2 different blood antigens, A and B. And now we know Rh, but we're kind of ignoring Rh just for simplicity's sake. So you have the A and the B. If you have A antigen, you'll be type A. If you have B, you're type B. So we kind of already know that. We're just seeing how you get it now, like the behind the scenes work of how that happens. You know, that looks like this. Remember, A is a shape, B is a different shape, and O doesn't have any. It's all O means. It doesn't have any. All right, now we have codominance. So this is a word you'll need to know. There are some traits that are codominant, meaning that if your parent gave you B and your other parent gave you A, they're both as dominant as the other one. I told you they're both dominant genes. So how did that AB blood type come into B? An AB blood type happens when mommy gives an A and daddy gives a B. They're both dominant. They can't beat each other, so they just have both. They'll end up being A and B. So in a codominant blood type, we see both parent alleles expressed. They're not mixed. They don't mix it up. It doesn't pick one over the other, just you get both. So in human blood type, type A and B are codominant with each other. They're just as strong or dominant as each other. So neither dominates the other. That means the offspring will inherit both and have both in their cell. And that's how we have those weird people that end up getting AB blood type. And that's why they're pretty rare, because you don't usually have two parents actually pass both those alleles on. However, both A and B are dominant over O. Okay, so A and B are dominant over O. O is the recessive. If parent 1 sends an A, parent 2 sends an O, baby will still be A. A beats O, always. So the only way to be an O blood type is parent B sent O, so did parent A. If they both send O's, then they're type O. All right, so let's kind of look at the little box breakdown. Type A dominant. Type B is dominant. Type AB, neither dominates the other. And type O is recessive. The only way to get it is you have to get it from both parents. Okay? Now here's a little specific way to write it. When you're writing genotypes versus phenotypes. A phenotype is just their blood type. So if I say, what's the phenotype? I'm saying, give me the blood type. Are they A positive, B positive, O negative? I'm saying, give me the blood type. If I'm asking for a gene, genes come from two people, two parents. So you have to write two things. There's always two things written if I ask for a genotype. You have to give me what was daddy giving, what was mommy giving. There's always two. Genes come in pairs. So phenotype is one thing, so give me the blood type. Genotype, I have to write the pair. Now note that conventionally we use the letter I. Why? I don't know. For blood, they put a big letter I. So that big letter I has a big A on top. So that's saying this is the A allele. So mom passed an A allele. Dad also passed an A allele. If you get two A's, obviously, you will be a type A person, type A blood. Now, weirdly, so just kind of let it sink in. So big I with the A on top is how we write A's. How we write B is big I with a B on top is how you write B's. The O is always written as a little I. So if you see two little I's next to each other, that means mom gave an O, dad gave an O, baby's O. Only way for baby to be O is to get it from both parents. So when you see that weird little I, it means type O. Why are there so many different letters? I don't know. And I'm sorry, but that's what it means. Little I means O. All right. So now we're just going to practice. That's all. Here we go. We're going to look at these slides. So if you remember these Punnett squares, some of you were good at them, some of you were awful at it. You may be afraid to go back to it. Usually on round 2, and us being just specific with blood, you're probably going to get it a little easier if you struggled with it back then. So here's how you write a homozygous. Let's go over that word. What does homo mean? About same, anything bad? Same. Okay, so homo means same. So if I say I have a homozygous type A blood, that means that that person was given, why not? Why does it say homo when it's not? That's not the same. I had to change that word. How did that even happen? Use this so many times. That should be hetero. What does hetero mean? Hetero means different. Like yours are right, but mine's wrong up here? Well, how did that happen? So your notes are AA? Then it's not. This should be A, this should be A, this should be A, this should be A. Yeah, that got switched to an A somehow. Okay, there we go. I don't know why I got switched. That's very weird. Current slide. Okay. Weird moment. Okay, now it's right. So again, homo means same. So if a person is homozygous A, that means they got an A from mom and they got an A from dad. So this person's definitely type A blood. They have 2 A's. There's nothing else they could be. But they had a baby with a homozygous type B person. That means this person got a B from their mom and a B from their dad, so they're definitely type B. No other blood type they could be. So when they have a baby, they'll give their A, because there's nothing else to give. They only have A's to give. They'll give a B, and A and B are dominant with each other. I mean, they are co-dominant with each other. So all of their babies, this is how an AB blood type is born. is when I have a homozygous A and a homozygous B, there's nothing for that baby to be except type AB. Every mixture they could ever possibly do is mom's gonna give an A, dad's gonna give a B. Baby has to be AB because they're co-dominant with each other. So that's what that blood type is they would have a blood type AB. Now the next one, we have cross heterozygous type A with homozygous type B. Okay. So if we're looking, then this is what heterozygous looks like. I haven't showed you this yet. Heterozygous means they have an O. They were given an O gene. So this person was given an A from their mom. They were given an O from their dad. Now what blood type do they have? Remember, A is dominant. So they have type A blood. That's what they have. They get blood tested. They have type A blood. They can only receive type A and type O blood. But they have an O gene to pass on. They could pass an O gene to their baby. They just don't show it in their own body. So when this person has a baby with a homozygous B person, the B is always passed on because that's all he has to give. He can only give B. But she can give an A and make an AB baby. She could give an A and make an AB baby. Or she could give her O gene and again make a B type baby. So see this? B and little I. That means this baby will be born and it will have a recessive O gene that it could pass on later in life, but it would be a B type blood. Same thing for the second baby. So if we're looking at this, you have an A mom and you have a B dad, and the only types of babies they can make is AB babies and B babies. They can't make an A baby. So that's what I'm saying, like just because you know what your parents' blood type is, doesn't mean you have the same one. This mom with her A blood type can't make an A blood type baby with her current partner.
So what if like two people have a baby and one of them has O and one of them has B, and the baby ends up getting B, but still has the O, and that the baby grows up and has a baby with O.
So that's probably an O then. Yeah. So you'll see that in a second. So how do I get an O baby? I think I'll eventually get to one with an O baby. So this is two heterozygous people. If I have a heterozygous A person, well, they have an A to pass on and they have an O to pass on. She's a type A person, type A blood, but she does have an O to pass on. Then I have my heterozygous B dad. He has a B that he could pass on, but he also has a recessive O that he could pass on. So they both have this recessive gene. So one baby, they could make an AB baby. Could exist. She could pass her A and he could pass his recessive. Well, this would be an A baby because the recessive gets defeated by the A type. So this would be an A blood type baby. The B could be passed and the recessive, they could make a B baby. Or she could pass her recessive and he could pass his recessive and they have a type O baby. That means they could have 4 kids all having different blood types. It would just be like rolling the dice and that's just what happened, okay? So just because your mom has 3 siblings for you, just because they have a blood type doesn't mean you have their same blood type. It depends on what she has. If she has a recessive gene, depends on what your dad is, and he has a recessive gene. Y'all could literally all have different blood types. Okay. Now cross type O. Let's say an O person, like me. I'm type O. So that means I only have O's to give. The only way for me to be an O is to have an O from my mom and from my dad. So I have a little I, and that's all I can pass on. If I had a baby with a type BI, it'd be like my current husband. We're not having children, but this is what would happen. The B would be passed on, and the I would be passed on, and our babies would be type B. His recessive could be passed on if he had, I don't know if he has a recessive. And mine, and we could have another type O. His B and my I could make another type B baby, or his recessive, my recessive. So we have a 50-50 chance. 50% chance making O-type babies, 50% chance making B-type babies. And that's all we can make. Obviously, we couldn't make anything with an A because we don't have any of those. So 50-50. All right, lastly, you have cross, is this lastly? Maybe not. Cross-type O blood with type AB, okay? So what if an O person had a baby with an AB blood type? Well, the A and the B have to be passed on. So they're gonna pass on their A's, or they're gonna pass on their B. And the O is going to pass on that. So the only babies they can make is type A or type B. So that means literally both these parents couldn't make babies that have the same blood type as them. Couldn't do it. There would be no possible chance for their babies to have the same blood type as they did. for the way that mixture worked out. So 50% chance of having type A, 50% chance of having a type B. Now, I want to make sure we understand why, okay? So at the very end, I kind of throw this in if you forgot this from biology. Why do we have that only passing one gene down thing? I have 2 genes and I only pass 1. Why do I only pass 1? Okay, so let's remember how sex determination works a tiny bit. Inside your body's right, if you were a male, you have an XY. That's how you were a boy. If you're a girl, you got 2 X's. So mommy gave an X, daddy gave an X, your XX, so you're female. There are 2 types of sex chromosomes, X and Y though. So we're just kind of breaking it down with sperm. A boy is X and a Y. That's what he is. So his sperm, he has sperms that are X's that only carry an X, and he has sperms that are Y's that only carry a Y. When they meet a female egg, the female is XX. There's nothing else she can give. She's an XX. She can give an X or an X. That's it. So when they meet up, though, it depends on which sperm hits the baby. So this is like, how do we become like, how do we get boys or girls? Well, mom only has X, but dad has a Y. So sometimes it's, and that's why it's 50% chance. 50% chance for a girl, 50% chance for a boy. Just depends on which sperm hit the egg first. It is the same way with your blood types. In each of these sperms, he can only pass on his 1 gene. So if he's a AB blood type, his sperms either have the A in them or they have the B in them. They only have 1. Same thing with your egg if you're a female. If you have II, well then you only have II, so all of your eggs would have II. But if you're an AB person, then some of your eggs are A and some of your eggs are B. They're just always split up. So it just depends on which egg drops, which sperm hits. They only are going to get that 1 connection. So that's why only half of our genes are passed on. It depends on which half they got in that egg and that sperm. Okay. So pretty weird. Genetics is very in-depth and odd to study it completely, but that's kind of a little breakdown, how you do blood types, and now your practice. Okay. So your practice is pretty short. I'll give you more to do tomorrow. I just want to see, let's do a little bit today. So that's notes. Obviously, if you get stuck on your paper, let me know. But I'm hoping that y'all just finish it before you leave and put it in the box. No more clearing? No. Stop recording.